Hi everyone, my name is Yifan Panfang, and my midterm project will be some research that I did on the '08 financial crisis, because the other day I had a conversation with one of my colleagues. He said he graduated around time of 2012, and it was very hard for him at that time to find a job because the job market was so weak. So as a conversations with him, I had more questions about the financial crisis, because that we all knew the financial crisis was due to the mortgage debt, and what is the percentage of the mortgage that each family has and versus other consumer debts as a percentage of that time. And what is each family's financial obligations around financial crisis? Is financial crisis the time that we have the highest employment rate and the time that most household makes lowest median income? So those questions really got me curious. I decided to do a research around that. I collected my data from this website, the economic research conducted by Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, and I downloaded my data set from the economic research websites. So this mortgage tab table shows the original data set. So it has the date, the household debt service payment as percentage of disposable income, the consumer debt service payment percentage, the mortgage debt service payment percentage, and the financial obligations of percentage of disposable income. So this is the explanation of the CDSP and MDSP. And then my second tab is the median income for different states, all the way traced back to the 1984, and then the unemployment in weeks data related to the corresponding date. So I organized the original data set, make a pivot table around that, and create a heat map, because heat map is a very, I think, visual tool to show us when we have the highest, where the number is high, where the number is low. So we can see that in this heat map, whenever a green says the number is very high, whenever red says the number is low. So we can see that around the financial crisis, what really causes the difference is the mortgage debt number. So it is much higher than the normal time. And interestingly, the consumer debt actually didn't have much of increase around that time, I guess, because most people, they had the mortgages, so they cut their expanding on consumer debts. And on the normal time, these two percentage actually are very similar to each other, but when they hit the financial crisis is when we had the problem with mortgage debt service payment. I created the pivot chart here, which is a very visual tool showing us how the total household service payment as a percentage goes as around different times. So we can see the highest time is 07, 08, and then after 08 the number drops. And then the reason why 08 is causing the number in 08 is very high is these blue columns, which is the mortgage debt number, and around normal times. So these two numbers are pretty similar, but around 08, the mortgage debt number rate sticks out. So I also created the slicers for the pivot table and pivot chart, so we can filter on years to see how the number changes we can also filter on the financial obligations to see which years that we had most financial obligations. So just to show a quick example, let's click the time that we had a high financial obligations. And then we can see those times at either 08 or 01 and 06 and 1986 and 1987. So we can see whenever that we had a high financial obligations number is the time that corresponds to recession in the economy. We know that 08 is the subprime mortgage financial crisis. 01 is kind of the debt bubble, and 86 and 87 was another time of financial crisis, of recession. So we can go to the next tab that shows us the household income change for different states around the years before and after the financial crisis. What really sticks out here, and that's very interesting, is that we saw that 08, 09, even 10 is not the time that we had the lowest median household income, but the time that his most family the hardest was actually around 11, 12. And I think this is due to the lack of economy, because as you know, financial crisis and people reduces their spending, and then in corresponse the business also reduce their capital expenditure, which creates fewer job opportunities in the job market, which in turn makes a family that reduce their spending. So we can see the lag in the economy, and then a few years after the financial crisis was actually the time that his most family the hardest. That's why the colleague was telling me that he graduated at the time of 2012, and then it was the time that when the job market was really weak. And then let's go to the next tab. I created a Power View for a few different data sets. So I think a very interesting thing about this Power View is that we can see, we can put a few different data sets together and see how they correspond to each other. So we can see that around financial crisis, the financial obligations is really high, and then after it becomes really low. So that's filtered on the years. After financial crisis. So we can see as the unemployment data in weeks becomes really high, that corresponds the time when the a lot of families, they make their lowest household median income, meaning that as they make a low household income, they will reduce their spending, which causes their financial obligations lower than other time. So we can see that these three tables corresponds each other. So these two, they have, I would say, direct relationship as the number goes high in unemployment rates, and then the median household income drops, and then as median household income drops, the financial obligation also drops because the families are cautious about spending. And this is my presentation about the financial crisis, the questions I had and my research. Thank you very much.